Joining me now is the newest addition to the UFC's featherweight roster. His name is Sean Woodson, and he's coming off a highlight reel knockout of Terrence McKinney on Week 5 of Dana White's Contender Series. Sean, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Feeling on top of the world. How about you?
I'm doing very good. Not as good as you, though, because I didn't land a flying knee knockout on Dana White's Contender Series and get signed to the UFC 5 days ago. That's what you did. Has it sunk in yet?
It's starting to. I mean, it still kind of feels surreal, but yeah, man, it's starting to. Yeah, I mean, I'm a part of the UFC, and it's hitting me now.
But you're still maybe a little bit on cloud nine. It still has to feel a little unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm not trying. I'm trying to just. I'm just trying to. I'm not trying to. Let it really get to me. Just trying to maintain and just going about life the way I was going before.
Does it feel kind of right? Like it feels normal almost, like you should be here?
I mean, I definitely knew this was coming. I've been seeing myself as ready for the UFC for a while now. And now that it's here, it feels right. I'm supposed to be here.
What about everything that's happened to you afterwards? I'm sure you're doing a lot more media and interviews than you're used to, and now that you're a UFC fighter, you probably have to get used to it, and I'm sure that won't stop. Have it been overwhelming or almost surprising how much you've been doing since the fight?
That's the exact word I was going to use. Yeah, it was a little overwhelming at first, but this is exactly what I asked for. This is what I love, and it just comes with my dreams. Is all the media and everything. My Instagram instantly quadrupled, which I'm pretty excited about. And, I've been getting messages nonstop, been doing interviews nonstop, but like I said, this is what I asked for, and I love it.
Fair enough. Where would you say this past week and winning on Contender Series A and then, of course, B, getting that contract, where does that rank among best moments in your life?
Oh, number one, without a doubt. I don't even think about that. That was the happiest moment of my life when that happened, and yeah, that was the best week of my life, and yeah, that definitely ranks up there number one. Without a doubt.
Okay. UFC President Dana White, he loves finishes. He's made that very clear. More than that, he seems to really love killer instinct. And when fighters go out there, not necessarily going for a broke, but they really go for that finish and are aggressive and press the action. Under those guidelines, so to speak, a flying knee KO is pretty tough to beat. Were you confident after you landed that shot and won the fight that, hey, there's no way Dana White isn't picking me tonight?
Yeah, I was pretty confident. Going into that fight, I wasn't really focused on getting the contract, just taking that fight on 5 days' notice and cutting as much weight as I had to cut. I was just focused on getting the win. I just wanted to get the win, and then after I was feeling on top of the world and really still wasn't even stressing about, whether if I was going to get the contract or not. But I had a good feeling and pretty much knew I was.
What's it like sitting in the back though? Because you're sitting with 4 other winners who some of whom got finishes the same night as you and looked really impressive. I mean, when you're sitting in the back waiting essentially to hear your fate, whether or not you're getting a contract, is it nerve-wracking? What's sort of going through your head at that moment?
Well, the other guys, they were pretty, it was nerve-wracking for them. I could tell they were pretty nervous and panicking about the thing. But like I said, I was already on top of the world that I had just, pulled off that win and got to finish the way I did on 5 days' notice after cutting the weight that I cut and feeling the way I felt. I felt terrible cutting that weight. So, yeah, just to get the win and, get it the way I did, I was already on top of the world. And when it got around to Dana to talk about me when he first started, he kind of played it off real good, and it wasn't sounding too good for me at first. But then, midway, he kind of changed his tune a little bit, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm about to get signed to the UFC. And sure enough, it happened.
Generally, is the cut down to 45 pretty tough, or was this one a bit more difficult than usual, or are they kind of just all the same?
Yeah, usually, man, it's smooth. It's just the only bad part about it was just the 5 days. If I had, 2 weeks or, a week and a half, it would have been better. But just cutting that weight in 5 days is what killed me, man. That was the deal breaker.
I'll be honest, I actually forgot. I knew you had stepped up on short notice, but I forgot just over the past few minutes that, yeah, it was a 5-day short notice fight. What a whirlwind you've been through, going from not even booked a fight on Contender Series for this card to being in the UFC. That makes sort of me talking about being on Cloud9 just even more insane. just how 5 days notice and
Yeah,
everything.
it was crazy, man. Yeah, the fight was 6 days away, but we had to, weigh in. I had to weigh in 5 days, and yeah, I had to cut. I was, the most pressure I had to deal with in my life, the most weight I've ever had to cut in my life, and I was feeling pretty crappy cutting the weight, and that was, a physical battle and a mental battle, and then it was also mentally draining to, feel as shitty as I was. I'm sorry, can I cuss on it?
Yeah, you can, of course.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was a battle. Yeah, it was a battle feeling as shitty as I was, and then on the mental side, I was, I still had in my mind that, damn, after I cut this weight, I'm still gonna have to go out here and deal with a level wrestler who's, he was preparing for this. I think he was slotted to fight on Contender Series 2 to 3 months ago or something like that, and so I knew he was gonna be ready and shape and gonna bring it, and here I was, depleting myself in these 5 days, and not knowing how my body would bounce back from the weight cut, and yeah, man, it was crazy.
When you got the call for this fight, did you ever hesitate just because you knew or you probably had a feeling how difficult the weight cut would be and just how tough it would be stepping up on such short notice? At the same time, you realize how big of an opportunity is it. Did you ever hesitate or not really?
No, man, this was an opportunity of a lifetime. There was zero hesitation. I had a ballpark range in my head of where I weighed at the time, but when I got the call from a manager, I didn't even step on the scale or nothing. I just right away I said, I'm in, let's do it. And then afterwards I stepped on the scale and I was 170, and I'm like, shit. I'm like, this is going to be a battle.
I'm just curious. Dana White on the week 1 show of this season, when Brendan Loughnane was on there, he didn't get the contract but put on a pretty impressive performance. 3 rounds, a bit of a war. He fought a tough guy, came out the winner. Dana said because of a late takedown, he didn't get the contract, and it seems like Dana really is after the guys that either get finishes or just really show that killer instinct. He felt Loughnane did not do that. Do you pay attention to Dana's comments going into this fight at all, keeping what he said in mind?
I am such a student of this game, man. It's ridiculous. I pay attention to everything. I don't just watch every single MMA fight that comes on. I watch every interview, every media scrum, everything. Just as big as a fan as I am of the UFC, I'm just as much as a fan of Dana White. I know a lot of people out there have their, mixed opinions on him, but man, I love Dana White. Yeah, I take everything he says into consideration, and I know what he's looking for when you're on the Contender Series. Like you said, he wants risk takers, he wants guys to go for it. So I had it in my head that I was going to go out here and lay it all on the line. I was going to be, flying knees and spinning stuff. I was going to really go for it.
Interesting. As far as the performance, again, as I said, flying knee KO can't get much better. You did face a bit of adversity in the first round. He was doing some good work on the ground. How would you rate your performance?
Man, I honestly feel like that fight had to play out exactly the way it played out in order for me to get signed. Like I said, I was just focused on getting the win, but, after hindsight, thinking about it now, I feel like the fact that I got dominated in the first round, the way I did it, kept my composure and showed that, I can overcome adversity, I think that's what got me the contract. If I would have came out there and, Masvidal style, knocked him out, in 5-10 seconds with that knee, I think, maybe, you could have said, that was luck, or, I believe Dana would have gave me, props on it, but I think they probably would have, me being 5-0, they probably would have just had me back on the Contender Series, and, we want to see more from him, but the fact that I got dominated in the first round, kept my composure, came back, overcame adversity, I think that's what got me signed.
Very nice. What was the message in the corner between the first and second round? Just because, as I said, it wasn't a great first round for you, of course, and I think you probably would be the first to say that. He did some good stuff on the ground. What was the message in the corner?
I knew on my way back to the corner, I caught out of the corner of my eye, I saw the way that my opponent, plopped down the stool the way he did, so I seen that he was a lot more tired than I was, and my corner, they brought in the stool and told me to sit down, and I'm like, nah, I want him to see me still standing up over here. And they told me, my head coach, Andrew Evers, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's on my back all the time. He gave me instructions on what to do if he wraps me up with that body lock again. telling me how to break it, and telling me that he was just telling me I did good, even though I was in a bad position the entire first round. He was saying that was great defense. You stayed calm, and he's a lot more tired than you, and he told me he was going to be looking for that takedown, and if that guy wasn't going to stand with me, which I knew that going into the fight. And yeah, there wasn't much instruction other than what to do unless I got into that body lock again, and yeah, he just told me to look at that takedown's coming.
Talk me through the flying knee. How exactly did you land it? What opening did you see? What did you see?
Okay.
Talk me through exactly how it came to be.
Well, yeah, I was really surprised at how relentless he was with the takedown. He wasn't really setting them up much. He just, the moment I approached him, he would tip that head and he would just shoot his shot. He did it over and over again. And, I wasn't expecting that. I was honestly expecting him to, maybe set up the takedowns a little better. So, yeah, when he was just relentlessly shooting in like that, after he got me down the second time in the second round, I believe, I said to myself when we got down, I was like, if I get back to my feet, I'm going to end this fight. He's not getting me down again. And when I got back up that last time, I didn't want to sprint towards him like Masvidal did because, that had just happened the week before, and I thought, maybe he would have been, a little weary of that. And I feel like if I would have sprinted towards him, he would, that would have gave it away almost. So that's why I kind of just, eased in and walked forward, and like it wasn't up to nothing. And then when I got in range, that's when I just leaped into it. And I knew, like I said, the moment I approached him, just like the times before, he was going to go for that takedown, and he was going to be there.
You might not have even realized this, but this was your first finish since January 2017. How good does it feel to get back into the winning column? Or the finish column, I should say.
Yeah, I was going to say, I stay in the winning column, man. But yeah, the finish column, yeah. My first two pro fights, I got first round finishes right off the bat. I was 2-0 with two first round finishes. Everything was going great. And then, yeah, the next three fights, man, I was really, even though I got the wins, I was pretty upset with myself that I didn't finish those fights because, I definitely feel like I could have finished them. But, and I mean, there are excuses, but those fights I didn't finish, that was due to the weight cut problem. I didn't have a nutritionist at that time, and I was cutting the weight by myself, and yeah, I think I know I got with my nutritionist after my third or fourth fight, I believe. But yeah, I was just drained in those fights, and I was just doing all I could to win. But yeah, I've been wanting to get back to my finishing ways, man. Yeah, I picked a hell of a time to do it.
You sure did. Dana's criticism after the fight was, of course, in relation to that first round where he was able to get on top of you quite a bit and stay there. And he basically said, hey, I mean, Sean will have to work on his ground game or else he might have trouble in the UFC against more elite fighters. Has that always been sort of the main priority for you throughout your pro career, working on your ground game and becoming a better grappler?
Yeah, for sure, man. I call myself an experienced grappler, man. I'm very comfortable grappling, I feel like, me taking that fight on 5 days notice and everything with the weight cut, that in the back warming up before the fight, I bounced around on my feet. I felt great. But whenever we started drilling ground stuff, I could feel that, my cardio, it took a hit, and that the grappling exchanges would, really tire me out. And I feel like if I would have, had a full camp or even, a few weeks to prepare that guy wouldn't have got me down one time. But yeah, I mean, Dana's criticism, is definitely, I definitely see where it was coming from, but I know for a fact my ground game is a lot better than Dana White thinks, and it's a lot better than what I showed in that first round.
I guess you're excited. With that being said, I guess you're pretty excited for your debut, where you can sort of almost show your true self.
Oh yeah, man, I'm so excited. Now that I know that I'm signed to the UFC, I know that I'll get a full camp, or at least 4 to 6 weeks to prepare for my next fight. I'm so excited to go out there and show what I can do on a full camp and give them, a real performance for myself.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I saw a few people say after the fight that they're probably going to sign Sean just because it was a flashy finish, but maybe he needs a bit more time. Maybe give him one more shot on the Contender series. Maybe one or two more fights before signing him. What do you say to those people? Do you sort of just go back to your idea that, hey, this was on short notice and I still got the win? Let me show show you what I can do on a full camp.
Yeah, man. I think I mean, even though I'm 5-0, I truly believe that I showed the moxie of an experienced veteran, man. Like, in the first round, I could have, when he had my back and was going for that choke, I could have panicked and started making mistakes, but I stayed calm and defended the choke well. And like I said, I kind of hit him with some veteran tricks, but I could have done a lot more to get out of that body lock in the first round and to get back to my feet. But I didn't feel the need to because I felt how much energy he was using in those chokes. I felt that he was, exerting all his energy trying to finish that, and I didn't think he was anywhere close. I knew, he wasn't over the chin. I was defending it good, and I was using very minimal energy to defend that, and versus him, he was using everything he had trying to finish it. So I kind of purposely stayed there to just let him keep, blowing out his arms, using his gas tank, and I knew that I would get that when I got my window of opportunity, I would have a lot more left than he had.
How would you compare fighting on the Contender Series to another local promotion, in your case, Shamrock FC or RFA?
Oh man, it's a world of difference, man. The fighting on Contender Series, they treated me great. They treated me like royalty out there, man. It was really a world-class experience. I loved it.
I guess my point is, like, does it feel bigger? Not even just because the stakes are higher, because UFC contracts on the line. If you forget about that and forget about maybe needing to go for the finish more than any other of your fights pre-UFC, does it just feel bigger because it's the UFC Apex? It's like the octagon-shaped cage, just the pre-fight interviews at the UFC headquarters or UFC Apex, wherever you do them. Does it just feel bigger?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, all that. Yeah, oh, yeah. Being, the UFC Apex, being in the Octagon, and the, Las Vegas, all that definitely, felt bigger. But at the end of the day, I try to, I just try to separate all that and just, it's still a fist fight at the end of the day. Nothing changes about that. I don't hype the moment up to be bigger than what it is. At the end of the day, it's still just a fist fight. And I feel like if I pay attention to all those other factors, that I put a lot more pressure on myself, and I don't want to do that.
All right, last thing for you, Sean, and I appreciate the time. When do you want to make your UFC debut? You didn't take a whole lot of damage in the fight. I don't know how you're feeling physically right now, but what is the plan? Do you have a plan? When do you want to make your debut?
Oh yeah, for sure. I hit up my manager right away, and I asked him when we're gonna make that debut and get that first fight on the contract going, and he said they're looking at either October or November. One or the other. I'm thinking October or November, and I'm hoping if I can get it my way, I want to get on the New York card in Madison Square Gardens in November, man. That would be perfect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you said November, I was gonna say, hey, MSG's that month. That'd be a pretty big.
Hell yeah, man. That's what I want.
That'd be pretty special, wouldn't it?
Hell yeah, to get my foot in the door in Las Vegas, Nevada, the fight capital city of the world, and then turn around and make my debut in Madison Square Garden, New York. That would be picture perfect, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really get a better first two fights, so to speak, in the UFC. Obviously, one's Contender Series, but can't really beat that. You could be fighting in Minnesota or somewhere.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's why my manager told me October, November. I looked up to see where those cards were, and I saw that Madison Square Garden. I'm like, oh, that's the one. That's what I wanted.